Good morning. Shall we get started? So let's bring our attention to our body, our posture, settling the body in a stable, comfortable, upright position. Keeping our feet flat and our back straight, torso open, hands in the lap right over left, with the palms upturned and the thumbs gently touching. Our eyes are gently closed or slightly open. Although we try to avoid slouching or leaning, we also try to avoid rigidity in the body. Try to allow the body to find its own comfortable, upright position, allowing it to fall into place. And then feel as though you move your attention away from the outside world, holding it to the body and mind. Letting go of sights and sounds, sensations, just moving your awareness inward. Letting go of thoughts of the past, plans for the future. Use the physical sensation of the air as it passes into and back out of the tip of the nostrils to anchor your awareness in the present moment, noticing quickly when anything other than that physical sensation is arising in the mind, and gently, without judgment or frustration, lifting your awareness from that distraction and gently placing it back on that present moment physical sensation. And then when the mind feels more calm, generate a broad and altruistic motivation for your time, thinking of the kindness of all other sentient beings, how in each moment we are the recipient of such kindness. The food that we eat, the clothes that we wear, everything that we use to keep ourselves protected, safe, bring more enjoyment to our lives, all came from the kindness of others. And wanting to repay that kindness, thinking that developing our potential is the best way to repay that kindness. Eliminating the mental states that might motivate us to bring harm to sentient beings, and developing limitlessly those states that permit us to bring benefit to sentient beings. I think that's the purpose of our time. And then with that kind of motivation, we will contemplate the last of the 8 verses of thought transformation. So this verse is, may all these practices be undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, may I be released from the bondage of attachment. May all these practices be undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly concerns, and by perceiving all phenomena as illusory, may I be released from the bondage of attachment. So the first of these 2 contemplations in this verse is the need to maintain our spiritual practice in a very pure way. Understanding that our preoccupation with what are called the 8 worldly concerns, which are gain and loss, pleasant and unpleasant experiences, being praised and avoiding blame, wanting a good reputation, not wanting a bad reputation. So always wanting more, better, higher status, more wealth, more physical comfort, always wanting to hear pleasing words, to have others act in a pleasing way, and at the same time, not being able to tolerate loss or disrepute or difficulty, challenges of any kind. Not allowing these preoccupations to affect our spiritual lives. So making sure that we don't engage in spiritual pursuits for the purpose of wealth or status or reputation or receiving gifts or admiration or praise. Making sure that we don't care what other people think about our decisions to engage in spiritual activities, not wanting to be seen as a good practitioner, but having a deeper, more genuine motivation of just inner growth, inner development. So try to see if there have been times when you engaged in or avoided engaging in spiritual activities, or just had the thought, I hope others recognize or appreciate some act related to our spiritual lives. See if these 8 worldly concerns are in some way staining your spiritual activities. Just to be clear about how this is operating in your life. And then think about the energy of the 8 worldly concerns more broadly. To what extent do we pursue reputation, praise, wealth, comfort? To what extent are we motivated or preoccupied with any reduction in praise, reputation, wealth, or comfort? And what kind of obstacles does that habitual preoccupation play in our lives? Just check in your own experience. And then the second contemplation in the verse relates to the ultimate antidote to our delusions, afflictions, the idea that all phenomena can be seen to be like illusions, that although phenomena exist, the way in which they exist is different than the way in which they appear. When we perceive anything, we perceive it as completely separate from oneself. out there in the world, broadcasting its essence to us. And we feel as though we are just passive observers with no choice but to perceive it as solid and real, completely separate. Whereas the act of perception is much more active, much more dynamic. That object is constantly changing and depends upon countless causes and conditions for its existence. And its label is an act of mental designation that takes into account all of its different parts and takes into account our unique culture and many other filters. So this is an incredibly profound and difficult topic that takes many years to understand at all, but we can try to see how when we perceive the objects that we perceive don't appear to depend upon causes or conditions or parts or that mental designation, but in fact they do. And we ourselves, our own identities, are also like that, coming together due to causes and conditions, having many parts, but being perceived as solid and independent on the basis of an act of mental designation. That doesn't take into account those causes and conditions and those many parts. So just try to see if you can recognize or see through that solidity in any way, to recognize the appearance of solidity is like an illusion. And then when you're ready, we'll come back together. And we'll dedicate. So recollect your altruistic motivation and think that you have actualized it by having practiced in this way. And in so doing, you've created positive energy in the mind. You offer that time, that effort, that energy for the benefit of sentient beings. Thinking, may it ripen in whatever way is beneficial for sentient beings, up to and including their enlightenment. Think, may it serve as a cause and condition to overcome the influence of the 8 worldly concerns and to develop insight into the nature of reality. And may that ripen as the state of enlightenment in one's own mind in order to provide the tools and the ability to work perfectly for sentient beings. And may any obstacles facing the Guru's long life be completely dispelled. May we and all sentient beings be cared for and guided by the enlightened beings in this moment until we swiftly achieve the state of enlightenment. Thank you.